Well, hello there. Welcome to Live with Lynn. So today I want to talk about how I take intentional action to get what I want. Yesterday I talked about the 3 secrets to success, and one of the things I said was that, success doesn't just happen by accident. It's a series of intentional focused steps, right? And so people who find success, like I said, they don't find it by accident. They're very intentional in what they do, and they figure out what matters to them most, and they take the steps to get there. And so I want to give you a couple of examples of what I've done and why I'm successful. And so let's go back. I want to go back like 25 years when I moved from Utah to California, and I couldn't find a job. To save my life. I was having a hard time finding a job. And I'm sure a lot of it was because of, the niche that I was in. I was a buyer in food service. And so it was hard for me to, people in the food service industry in California didn't know me. I was an unknown. So I was having a hard time finding a job. But I found a job at Giordano's. And so today I'm going to talk about that. And also I know that my old boss from Giordano's follows me. So if you happen to be watching this, hi, Marcia. Anyway, so I got a job at Giordano's, not as a buyer. I had to step way down. I had to take a job as much less. So I came in as a clerk. I don't remember what my actual title was, but it was a purchasing clerk or something. And I worked for the purchasing department. And I, took care of my boss's mail and screened visitors and stuff like that. But mostly what I did was I tracked payments that came in from the vendors. I processed them and I sent them to the right people to get handled. And, this is just me. I have never been the person that just goes to work and puts in my time and puts in my time and then leaves. That's just not how I've ever worked. And I came into this job knowing that I would never stay in that job, that I was, going to be proving to them that I was a buyer. I mean, I had been a buyer for many years before I even came there. So here I am as a clerk, and I'm bringing in, I'm opening the mail, and I'm tracking payments that are coming in from vendors. These are for different things. They're rebates. They're all different kinds of things that were happening. And I decided that we needed a way to track that, and I did this on my own, but we needed to have a way to keep track of what was coming in so that we could look at it. And it turned out to be a blessing in so many ways. My boss loved it. But, I created a page in a notebook for each vendor with a sheet that where you could write in each month or each week, depending on how that vendor paid, what we earned. Or what we brought in. And this turned out to be invaluable because after 3 or 4 months of tracking it, you started seeing which vendors were supporting us and which ones weren't, and how much they are. And if there was a big dip, we knew that we needed to go after that vendor and say, something's going on here, we didn't get paid. Whereas before we had no way to track that. So I just took that over. I just took it upon myself, fit it into my job, and took it over. Well, my boss in a lot of companies, when you work in a lot of companies, people see that as leadership material, right? Because you're going above and beyond what your duties are. You're not just punching a clock and checking in and doing your work and leaving. I was using my brain, and I was seeing what needed to be done and taking the action to do it. And that's just the way, no matter what job I've been in. Every job I've ever been in my life, I've always been promoted. But so here I am at Giordano's. I think I did that for, 6 months or so. And also when I worked with the buyers, sometimes I would help them. And when a buyer was on vacation or out of town, I would fill in. I kind of did that on my own too, but I would get with the buyer and say, what can I do for you while you're gone? So I'm showing an initiative, right? So then I got promoted to be the paper buyer. Took over that job, was the paper buyer for a while. And then some things changed in the company, and I got promoted to equipment and supplies buyer. That was new for me. I knew nothing about it, knew nothing about equipment and supplies. So now I'm buying everything in a restaurant that people don't eat. Everything from tables to flatware, silverware, to ovens, refrigerators, everything that's in a restaurant that's not paper so much, but that people don't eat, right? Plates, cups, chairs, tables, all of that. So I was buying that. And so here I am, a buyer. It took me a while to really get my hand around it and understand what it was I was buying, because you kind of need to know what you're buying so you know if you're getting a good price, or, to compare items and things like that. But after a while, the company was producing a catalog every once a year, I believe, and it would say something like 10 pounds sugar, 5 pounds sugar, 10 pack of napkins. Well, I decided that people don't know what our china patterns look like or what this table looks like compared to that table. And I decided that we needed to have a catalog that had pictures. So this is a big job I took upon myself, but I created a catalog basically with pictures in it. I worked with a company and I worked with my vendors to help fund this, and I made it happen. And I worked with a company that they specialize in doing these equipment catalogs for food distributors. And so we produced our first ever equipment and supplies catalog. So, it's catalog just like our food one was, but this one had pictures. So you knew what the china pattern looked like. You knew what this table looked like compared to that one. You knew what each of the items looked like because they had the pictures. And so, it was a big job, but I took it on. And that kind of started the whole idea of a marketing department, So now I'm a buyer, but I'm doing marketing activities, and I'm taking on these responsibilities more and more and more. And obviously I was doing 2 jobs. I was doing a lot more work, but I was working a lot of hours. But again, it's that focused work. It's, you don't do what's easy, you do what's right. And that's always been my mind. And when I'm in a job, it's almost like it's my own business because I see what needs to be done. I go after it and I do it. And, along the way, backing up a little bit, along the way, I got in some fights with my boss over all this. There was a little bit of tug of war going back and forth. Early on, when I was a clerk, goes back. I know that you're going to laugh because you have to be old like me to understand this, but I had a computer that had Word on it for DOS, not for Windows. It had the DOS version of Word. And that meant that I couldn't format text. I couldn't make things look pretty. And so I came in and I installed the Windows version on my own. And of course, the IT department wigged out and, my boss got in the middle of it. And it was this ongoing battle. But I was constantly pushing, and eventually I got it. Eventually I was able to, get what I wanted because my work wasn't looking the way I wanted it to look. The big difference between DOS and Windows is DOS, it's just text. Windows, you can make it pretty. You can bold it. You can make this font or that font. You can do more fancy things like put pictures in it. All of that. And I was creating newsletters, and I just couldn't create them the way I wanted with DOS. So that's just one example. But over the years, we had our back and forth. We really fought things. So it's just a matter, though, of just doing it and doing what's right and going after the next big thing. It's no different in my business. I have my Avon business. I first got started. It took me a while to figure out what I had in my hands. But once I figured it out, I decided to get serious about it. And so I learned, what do I need to do to get successful? What was the next step I needed to take? And then once I accomplished that, what was the next step I needed to take? And at the same time, I was going to conventions. I was going to Rep Fest. We went to other conventions. We went to training. Richard and I went to trainings that we paid for that were people that weren't in Avon, but that were network marketer trainings to teach us what we needed to do to be successful. And we just kept leveling up, just like that. And that's how we found our success. So you can be successful if you want. You totally can. Whether you're in a job or whether you're in a business, it doesn't matter. It's just all you. It is 100% you. If you take on more responsibility, if you show your company that you're worth more, they will start to see it. They will. And you'll get the promotion you want. And, maybe sometime down the road, you might decide that that's not the right company for you. I don't know. I don't know how that's going to go. But I just know that if you keep doing it, you take the initiative, you continue to grow, whether it's in a job or whether it's in your business, you will be able to achieve what you want. So thanks for being here with me today. And I look forward to talking to you tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye-bye.